Bobby Blue is a blue crayon and is here to help us understand color theory by letting us discover a little more about his life. Color theory is pretty complex, but basically is the study of how colors relate to one another. Speaking of relations, poor Bobby seems a little lonely. There, that's better. These are his friends, Yancey Yellow and Robert Red. The three of them are called primary colors, so it's safe to say that Bobby, Yancey, and Robert are besties. Even though they are besties, they don't really live near each other. The best way I can explain where the colors live is to show you a color wheel. Now, an awesome scientist named Sir Isaac Newton came up with this layout for the colors to live in. You might remember him as the guy who was sitting under that tree and an apple fell on his head and he was like, "Forces cause this to happen," and all that jazz. Well, he also figured out that colors are reflections of light. He was like, they're in a specific order, so let's house them that way. So Newton's color wheel shows where all the colors lie in respect to one another as well as the light spectrum. And as you can see, Bobby lives here, Yancey lives there, and Robert lives over there. Bobby loves his besties, but he has other acquaintances as well. When two primary colors combine, they create a color called a secondary color. Long story short, if you mix yellow and red, you get orange, red and blue, you get purple, and yellow and blue, you get green. Going back to Bobby, you can kind of notice he's pretty good friends with Gina Green and Peter Purple. They all seem to have blue somewhere down in their family roots. In fact, we could probably even consider them to be cousins. Now, going back to our story, all the colors that we have talked about are in relationships with one another. Let's see, there's Yancey Yellow, who's in a relationship with Peter Purple, and Robert Red is in a relationship with Gina Green. Complementary colors are colors that are directly across from each other on the color wheel. They have a way of actually making the others stand out and seem more vibrant just from being around one another. Some examples of complements would be red and green. Like when you see a watermelon, have you ever seen a redder fruit? It's because the rich green is outlining it and it's allowing it to pop out at you. Now back to Bobby Blue. As we said before, Bobby's pretty lonely. He's feeling, blue and his friends and cousins, but he doesn't have any complementary relationships with anyone yet. As he looks, he sees everyone with their complement and can't help but go to his besties, Yancey and Robert, and being the awesome friends that they are, Robert and Yancey feel bad for their friend and want to help. They try to think of anyone that isn't in a relationship yet, and then they remember their mutual cousin, Olivia Orange. Bobby Blue and Olivia Orange, they are complete opposites. In fact, if you mix them, they get this really uncomfortable brown. But you know what they say about opposites, they attract. In fact, blue and orange live directly across the street from one another, which makes them natural complementary colors. So Robert and Yancey introduce their friend to their cousin, and they decide to go to the beach for their first date. And as they watch the sun sink, making the orange sky mix with the blue water, they knew they were meant to be. Bobby lives in a world where everyone lives in harmony with one another. In fact, there's a term for it. It's called color harmony. But that's a story for another time. For now, just know that Bobby Blue has a huge color family and lives on a circular block made of light that was discovered by a man that was hit on the head with an apple and is now in a complementary relationship with the color of his dreams. The end.